Now, in case you never noticed,
blah,
there's this
blah,
little
blah,
staircase
blah,
over
blah.
here. Dun, 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 dun. So now we can
blah,
explore
blah,
the
blah.
basement.
I like how I'm able to slide the commentary clips along the timeline in the video editor, so I'm able to time the commentary with the gaps between the musical sounds.
Oh, look at this.
I do that all the time. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed. Now here's an example of my memory failing me. Listen to what I say right here.
So now it looks like we're free to hightail it out of here.
The problem with that line is I already used that expression in part 20. I suggested we were done in the lava chamber, but we really weren't. Just like now I use that phrase when we aren't actually free to go. So it's not just a redundant phrase, but also redundant usage.
Without actually taking a risk.
And here's my wonderful list of bogus saved games. Except for that last one, they're all references to other parts of my LPs. I guess I didn't always hold the same standard when it came to redundancy. Damn it, Billy, shut the door!
Oh. Turns out we can carry it around with us.
Actually, I did use those other save slots when making these recordings, so maybe bogus isn't the right word to describe them. It certainly made it a lot easier than what I had to do back in part 12, when I made it look like I didn't have any saves.
Right now.
But I think I already talked about that. Though you know, there was another thing I had to watch out for with these saved games. After you load a game, the next time you pull up the save menu, it shows your previous save typed out on the save line. So when I was making a new recording, that would have given away which save I was actually using instead of the one called Shady. So right after loading, I had to first go straight to the save menu and correct that.
Wait, this isn't where Saavedro landed.
But that only
last time.
applied if I was going to be saving during the next recording, not just
Whatever.
loading.
Where is everybody?
Which is good because I had to load a lot more often. This isn't the only way to get this ending. You can get it later on even after you trap Saavedro. What you do is you let him back through the inner shield, then link here before he has a chance to pummel you. And of course he'll follow you here, and this is what happens. And you'll notice how he's not carrying the book. That way it works even if you've already taken it from him. Okay. Remember how in the last video I talked about how the coordinates of the direction you face are preserved as you move from one node to the next? That's not all that interesting by itself, but I did mention it does something funny on Narayan. Technically it doesn't have to be there, it just happens on any of these bad endings.
You know, since Narayan
When you press the try again button, you're always taken to the spot here in the observatory by the scanner. But I noticed that you're facing the same direction as you were when you died. That may not entirely make sense because you're on a different age, but what I'm saying is the numerical coordinates must be the same, because even if you were looking up or down when Saavedro runs at you or whatever, you're still facing that way when you land in the observatory.
Of course, I still think it's a good idea to go ahead and...
I don't know, I would just think you would face a fixed direction every time, because that's the way it works when you link from age to age everywhere else.
Saavedro must have gotten this far since he put the book here. He just turned the generator.
You know, the fact
off
you can
for some
carry the
reason.
book around is kind of a dead giveaway that you're not supposed to use it yet.
Oh, not this again. What do we have to do now?
No!
Oh, that's
I don't
right,
wanna
there's
do
a whole other
this.
console upstairs.
This is gonna take too long.
Alright, guess we're gonna have to do more journal research.
I don't know, should I skip it? Yeah, well, I guess I still have something to say about this part. As I was leafing through this book, I always pointed out the bolded phrases by giving you a directed phrase like,
Yeah, there
it's
it is
at the top left of the page, or something like that.
Balanced systems.
I could have just
Simulate
pointed at it with the mouse, but
civilizations.
I don't know.
I think this is the last
I just
page.
did it the hard way.
Yeah.
Man, I'd like
So
to have
this
a mouse
message
pointer
is
right
not
now.
just the answer to the
I've been
puzzle,
talking
but
about
it's
things
also
on the
the
screen this
punchline
entire
for the
series
entire
without
lesson
any good way to
course.
highlight them. I mean, I am pointing at them with my finger, but that doesn't really help. Why didn't I
Well,
take
I didn't
advantage
wanna
of the
say
mouse
more.
while I had it? And now I've become very
It's too
meta
bad we
all of a
don't have any
sudden.
of the glyphs written down this
I was
time.
gonna save talking about this particular challenge for the commentary on commentary on
Fortunately,
commentary
balance just looks like
video.
a backwards S,
but,
so that's
you know.
pretty easy.
Yeah, I don't want to wade through all this. I realized that the main effect YouTube's increased time limits had on me is that I ended up playing quite a bit slower, as opposed to just making more progress in each video. I think it's an improvement overall because it gives you time to look around the place more, but I don't have that much to talk about down here the second time around. I will say though, that I already had all these patterns memorized before I started recording. That shouldn't surprise you. Of course, that would be a disaster if I tried to memorize them on the fly. And no, I did not have anything written down. If I tried to look back and forth between notes and the game, it would end up taking way too long. I don't want to make this into a bore fest. And besides, I don't want to be shuffling papers around while I'm recording. Now where was I? Hold on. Okay, yeah, I see. Oh snap, I gotta stop this. Yeah, this is where I want to be. Yeah, you can see just how slow I'm playing here. You guys understand the difference between a glyph and a symbol, right? The game never uses the word glyph, but it always refers to a symbol as one of the full representations of a four-word phrase. I think the word glyph came from the strategy guide. So while it's real easy to call a single word a symbol, that's wrong. So don't do that. I remember this whole bit with the puzzle and the post-commentary was kind of difficult to pull off. I was trying to punch in the answer here in about the same amount of time that Narayan's speech took, but I actually ended up revising the speech after I recorded the gameplay. The original version was a little longer than what I ultimately decided to go with, so I'm not playing slowly here just for the same reason as everywhere else. But this meant that once I trimmed the speech down, I had to spread out the commentary clips on the timeline to fit the amount of time it took to enter these in. So they were both going unnecessarily slow. Oh well. Like I said in part 31, we don't have any way to tell what Narayan is supposed to look like out there while the shield's up. So at first you don't know what to think of this. Oh my god, everything's on fire!
They're alive?
I don't know, Saavedro. I just solve puzzles. I'll take it from your attitude that whatever's out there is in reasonably good shape right now. And he's really quiet right there, but he said the fourth symbol. You got that captioning? The fourth symbol. See, I told you I know what a symbol is. I only know he said that because I turned on the good captions inside the game. I'm still glad I didn't turn them on for these videos though. They make the inventory items vanish so they can appear in that spot, and that's fine, but when the items come back, they do this weird glitchy thing where they kind of flash and spasm back into existence. I did say I was thinking about adding my own captions to the videos, but I got so much else to work on. Hey, if you're willing to make me some caption files, I'll gladly add them to the videos. And I'm not saying you have to caption me, of course, just what's being said in the game. You're not gonna do it unless I offer you a reward or something, huh? Fair enough. I'll think upon it. Normally I have the game audio set to -5 decibels while I'm playing, so you can still hear it, but it won't drown out the commentary. For these cutscenes though, I wanted to raise the volume back to its normal level. Which sounds easy, but if you're not careful, there will be noticeable rises and drops at the start and the end of each cutscene. So you have to set slow transitions every time. They're called envelopes. I don't know why they're called envelopes. But I had to do a whole bunch of envelope gymnastics in these last two videos. It was especially tricky when I tried having conversations with Saavedro. A lot of audio balancing going on there.
So the reason Saavedro never opened the outer shield was
look at where the mouse is. Not just where it is, but the fact that it's locked.
He's gotta feel a
right before I entered the Narayan code, I unlocked the mouse to get it out of the way while the console was rising. So it should still be unlocked right here, but it isn't. This flaw gives away the fact that this is a new recording, but it's extremely subtle, so I kept it in there because it looks better. And since this is a different recording, the saved game I used before this was not Shady P. I think it was Guybrush, but I'm not sure.
Alright, let's do this. Hey, Saavedro, can I go with you?
Now that's obviously an absurd line. And I'm about to go into full-fledged jokester mode right here. But looking back at it now, I see it's kind of a risky move, since it doesn't jive with anything that's taken place in the last couple videos.
Hey now, I never agreed to that.
I always know what I'm about to do, but for all I know, the audience might just find this sudden change in behavior confusing. You know, it's kind of remarkable that Saavedro didn't knock us out back when we first arrived on Narayan. He had no motivation to let us stick around back then, unless you count the fact the storyline necessitates it.
Drop the outer shield or I swear.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. When Saavedro runs up to the camera, we're gonna yank our heads to the right to simulate getting hit by the hammer. Okay, ready? Now! Oh, you didn't do it! Ah, well, there will be more opportunities down the line.
He just saw hope for the first time in 20 years. You would think
Since I don't think anyone's ever gonna find these on their own, I'll just go ahead and tell you that I hid a couple Easter eggs in the videos. Next time you're watching one of the last two videos in this series, try clicking on buttons in the fail menus yourself. Not the ones that I click on, but any of the others. And there's also another egg back in part 14. It's after the ride, but before we leave Idana. I think you'll be able to find it knowing that, so I'll let you go poke around for it.
Sir?
And here's where he catches me completely off guard with the same line as last time.
Sorry, I guess I just wasn't ready.
Before I walk in front of Saavedro again, I ask the rhetorical question, will he even give me a chance to speak? This is kind of foreshadowing the fact that in this second recording, he barely gives you any time to react after he stops talking. This made it very difficult to record the third death out here, because remember I had to bail after he finishes his final line. Look at his toes. They're right up against the black bar, but there's just a little bit of daylight. Well, this is automatic now, but I'm still playing by the same rules I talked about in part 1. I scouted... Aw, you missed it again.
Okay, I think I know how to do it.
Anyway, I scouted out the ideal camera position before I recorded this. Okay, here's the part with all the ridiculous nonsense.
This time I'm going to
But in order for me to make it work, I had to keep recording this scene over and over again until I got specific Bink files of Saavedro to play. For example, there are 5 or 6 randomized pacing patterns he'll make right here. But I wanted that specific one where he walks several paces out on that side of the door, but doesn't look at the camera.
He's still got his head down, so he hasn't
I was rather ambitious about it too, since I also wanted the other random files to be different from the ones in the 2 previous recordings. Now the Saavedro clips that play when you're on the far side of the platform aren't random. There are 3 different ways he'll stand while you're loafing in that spot, and they're determined by how many times you've already bugged him.
Okay, boss.
Unfortunately, the first time I got the perfect sequence of Bink files, I went all deer in the headlights and screwed up what I was doing.
But I'm not gonna do that.
It's really rare for several random things to go right all in a row, so there's a lot of pressure when it happens. It might all seem a bit obsessive-compulsive, but at the end of the day, variety looks a lot better than repetition.
Can we just take the book?
This is my favorite part of this video. I am clicking while I'm trying to get the book, but it's woefully quiet. Cue the crashing squee noises.
Uh-oh, the music stopped. This cannot be good.
If you ever see Saavedro like this, don't bother saving, it's too late.
Sneak along the edge.
This is the sound I get for text message notifications. Not really. And you gotta love that facial expression.
This isn't working.
It's more pouty than angry.
Why did he have to clout me on the head?
And I understand that Mr. Dorif doesn't want to damage the expensive camera equipment. But come on, does he have to make his diverted aim so obvious? Now pay attention to what he does right here. I'm finally weighing in on the appeal of his trade idea, then watch this. Bam! See? It's like he's reinforcing the idea right as I'm talking about it. That is not a coincidence. And I set it up by not letting it show at any other time. When I was originally trying to solve this game many years back, this was the first ending I had encountered. I figured the musical counterpart for the good ending would have the same build-up, but it doesn't. Ingrate! Double-crosser! Miscreant! Racketeer! Snollygoster! Muskrat! Fabricator! Pindlestiff! Finagler! Neanderthal.
I am such a fool.
So, if you were the one standing here on Narayan and you made this mistake, would you flip the switch again to try to stop Saavedro from leaving? For me, I think it'd be rather instinctive. But it would open the inner shield again, so that'd probably have some dire consequences.
Oh, no. That's just the cloud.
Hey, listen to this music file. I found it in the Narayan folder in the resource files. To my knowledge, it doesn't play at any point in the game, though. Maybe it was supposed to play when you get the good ending? But that's just a shot in the dark. At the end of the LP series, I alluded to the fact that I don't particularly care for Catherine's acting here. I guess I should elaborate on that. I don't know. Something about her just seems robotic. Like, I can tell that she's strictly adhering to the script. You know, first I walk here, then I say this, then I look at Rand. I don't get that impression at all when I watch Saavedro, or even Atris. Look at their tattered and filthy clothing. I know they just put out a fire, but did it really take that long? There's been enough time for at least one of them to jump in the shower real quick. Unless we actually went to Narnia. And that's the end of part 33. I think it sets up the final video quite nicely. But let's keep going, I'm not done here yet. I think we're gonna have to shake things up a bit. Well, that delay is a little long when you play these back to back. It was designed to have a cut there. You see, this works out well because this video starts out by immediately solving the puzzle rationally, a much different approach from what I had before. But what it meant was that the last two videos ended up really long. Ideally, the last 45 minutes or so would be split up into 3 videos to match the rest of the series, but this is why they weren't. You see how Saavedro just looked at us? That was the one that kept coming up while I was trying to make that goofy scene.
But I think he just made a mistake.
Now this is the only time we're on this node, so it doesn't really matter what shows here. I like this one where he stares at us, but I almost feel like I'm talking about Saavedro's blunder right to his face.
He just walked between the shields.
I don't know, maybe I could have played that up by acting like I couldn't say anything until he leaves. But I decided to go with the straight man talk. And I think overall it works better.
Let's power everything down.
I looked in the resource files and found several Bink files that show Saavedro walking around from this angle up here, but unfortunately they forgot to randomize it, so the one that you see here of him smacking the book just plays over and over in the game. And I never walked back to the area near the first set of tapestries, but all those nodes have a view of the platform as well, so there are still a whole lot more clips than what I'm able to show. It's a little hard to hear him right here, so let me help out my new caption writer real quick. He says, "Oh God, no, idiot. Oh no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no." In Brad Dourif's defense, this is not unreasonable behavior for Saavedro. I tried to hint at the significance of this event in the video. This is the first time Saavedro is no longer in full control of everything, and he's also likely reliving all those past betrayals and being thrust into a helpless state of exile. The fact that trapping him is necessary, though, makes me skeptical of his original plan with Atris. Perhaps Saavedro intended to drop the Replication book into the newly rewritten Narayan Abyss all along, which of course would have a little more bite to it than the scavenger hunt. Hence, this truly was the perfect place to plan revenge. On the practical side, the benefit that comes with setting the book down and prostrating is that it's an easily reproducible starting point for creating the remaining Bink files,
Quick, in there.
Don't forget about all those nodes over by the tapestries. If you pay close attention to these deaths, you'll notice they're all slightly different. Technically, there is still one big file I missed, though Saavedro looks exactly the same as one I did show, so that's why I didn't bother with it. When I try to close the door on him right here, the death starts by making a blurry pan to the right. Well, there's one that shows the same hit, but starts on the other side and makes a blurry pan to the left. That's hardly worth dragging out this skip for. On second thought, this video is too long, and I don't really have anything more to say, so I guess I'll end it here. We'll just pretend this part coming up is the good ending. So thanks for watching this commentary series. I hope it gives you some insight into my thought process as I structured the LP, both on the small scale and the grand scale. Oh, and one more thing. Happy birthday, Brad. Ow. Hey. I know it was last minute, but at least I remembered.